You people who work with clients, you still have a job. Everyone else, you don't have a job. And with those words from the white-haired managing partner of Arthur Andersen, on March 15, 2002, I suddenly realized my 8-year career as a secretary at Arthur Andersen is over. Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, most distinguished guests, did you ever lose something you thought you'd always have? Maybe it wasn't a career. And when you lost that thing you thought you'd always have, how did you feel? When I lost the job I always thought I'd have, I felt empty. All I wanted to do was to go home and go to sleep. You ever felt like that, like giving in, going to sleep? I didn't even want to think about going out to file for unemployment, because if I thought about going out to file for unemployment, that would mean I would have to face the fact that I was now lay down, went to sleep. When I woke up the next day, I thought, that plan worked so well, I'm going to sleep the entire week. I lost the morning. I get up every day about 12:30 in the afternoon. I did have a friend, Bob, who had a job, and he'd call from time to time, and he'd say, I needed to go out to file for unemployment, and I'd make up some excuse just to get him to stop bothering me. Maybe you have friends like that? Until one day, Bob said something to me that changed my life, changed my world, changed my life direction forever. Started like a regular phone call. Hey Bob, how you doing? Yeah, have you filed for unemployment yet? No, Bob, I'm just waiting for the right opportunity to come along. Yeah, that's it. Just waiting for the right opportunity. Believe me, once I get that opportunity, I'll be all over that job thing. That's when Bob's the thing with me. Changed my life. Bob said, you can't wait for opportunity to come to you. You've got to go to the opportunity. The unemployment office is not going to come to you. You've got to go to them. Same thing with everything else in your life. You do something now, you open up your opportunity. Pretty useful, right? Pretty powerful. Felt the same thing, but I didn't want to rush into anything. So I thought about it. I thought about it for 5 days. And on the 5th day, I thought, Bob's right. I need to open up my opportunity. And the first opportunity I want to open up is the opportunity to get up early. So that night when I went to bed, I took my alarm clock, I set it back 5 minutes earlier from when I was used to get up. Then I went to sleep. When I woke up, checked the alarm clock, it was 5 minutes earlier. And the next day, I set it back the same 5 minutes earlier and got up 5 minutes earlier. And the next day, and the next day, and every now and then, I'd set it back 5 minutes even earlier. And I just kept at it. And after 3 months, I got back my morning. Once I got back my morning, that opened me up to go out and file for unemployment. Filing for unemployment led me to go out and go temping. And I kept temping. Sometimes it worked out, sometimes it didn't. I just kept at it until finally, a year and a half later, I liked them, they liked me, everything came together, and I got a full-time secretarial job. Job I have today. Is there an opportunity you're waiting for? Maybe not a career opportunity. Maybe it's a money opportunity, or a relationship opportunity, or some other opportunity to keep waiting and waiting for something to happen. Well, if you do nothing, nothing happens. You have to take an action to open up your opportunity. And once you open your opportunity, you have an opentunity. Once you have an opportunity, then something can happen. Now, you might be thinking, Tim, I can't have an opportunity. If I had the time to do that money or that relationship opportunity or whatever, I would have done it. I just don't have the time. You're right. You're right. You don't have the time now. But if you took your alarm clock and you set it back just 5 minutes from when you usually get up, you have 5 minutes more to work on that money opportunity, 5 minutes more to work on that relationship opportunity, 5 minutes more to take that opportunity and turn it into a reality. When you get up in the morning, don't think of this as an alarm clock to get you up. Think of it as an opportunity clock to get you going. Once you get going, you're large and in charge. You got 5 minutes and everybody else. And you don't waste time with that extra 5 minutes. It's a simple thing to do. Set your alarm clock back and start to enjoy your life more, because there's more of your life to enjoy. So set your alarm clock back 5 minutes and wake up to your Opentunity.
Tim, great job. You had a really nice pause at the beginning, a very long pause, which really got the audience's attention. I like that. Lots of excellent pausing throughout the whole speech. Really great gestures, great connecting with the audience. You asked several questions of the audience. Did you lose something? Have you ever felt like that? Then you brought in your friend Bob, who's the guru, who gives you some advice that changed your life. Waiting for opportunities to come to you. Get up early, and you made an alarm clock sound. Thought that was good. The clock was a good prop. The only, it's really hard to find growth opportunities for you, but if I really had to nitpick, I came up with 2 things. I would have liked to see you walk all the way around the room. I just love that when speakers do that. And I guess the setting your clock back 5 minutes, maybe that was a little repetitive. You kept saying it over and over and over. Maybe you could have talked about other opportunities in life besides just getting up 5 minutes early to give a little more variety to the speech. It seemed a little confined to just setting your clock 5 minutes early. Or maybe you could have shared how it changed your life besides collecting unemployment. Maybe it could have changed your life. Maybe you met the woman of your dreams or something. Or you won the lottery because you got up 5 minutes early. So more variety in how changing your clock changed your life.
Tim, remember that yogurt commercial where the judge in the spelling bee says, swappertunity, the opportunity to swap for, or never mind. What you gave us today is Opentunity. I almost wonder if that should be the title of your speech. That certainly grabs people's attention. What is Opentunity? But it's always so powerful when the speaker starts with a personal story. And your story not only was dramatic, it was also that a lot of us can relate. especially in such an economy. And Tim, you must have some background in theater. I love the way you incorporate theater in your speech. Your story was a personal and almost had a sad overtone, but yet it was comical, and I enjoyed it very much. My only suggestion is to be a little bit mindful after you use a gesture, which was plentiful and very appropriate. At one time, after you talked about Bob's call to you, you had your hand on your face. Even after the call was over, you were summing up the significance of that call. And I must admit that I was somewhat distracted and I wasn't able to concentrate on your message.
Tim, I thought you gave another great speech today. I've seen, I think, 3 of yours now in this club and several others over the years. And I noticed how you incorporate different elements as you've progressed on. The one thing, and it's tough to see for an advanced speaker what I think would take him to another level. I think you're giving great speeches, but I think there was still a little something in there, like a little distance during some of the parts from the audience. I'd like to see you speak more conversationally maybe. This could be an aesthetic thing too. It's not necessarily a criticism for giving kind of a podium speech, but the one thing that, and your body language and everything is so well together, and your pacing very strong in the start of the speech. You kind of do an eyebrow thing, like a raised eyebrows, and that's the only kind of tell that I notice that you still have, that you're a little bit stiff or tense, is like a eyebrows kind of staying up all the time thing. I'm not quite sure I bought the connection of your story, which was so well developed, to the conclusion. It seemed like maybe at the end you were going to add a little something to that, and maybe it was the time, or maybe I'm just making that up. But I could have gone for something a little more, because it was such a big build-up. I was looking for something a little bit more in the structure of the speech than just set your alarm clock 5 minutes early, unless you had maybe explained how this little thing made such a big difference more. And it could be that I missed that, but I think I was just looking for a little more payoff after such a big build-up.
Fellow Toastmasters, and especially Tim, I enjoyed your speech. I always enjoy a personal story, and I think you did a really good job of doing it. I thought particularly you did a nice job on Bob's voice, so we could see that he was a different person than you. You had a lot of animation and detail in your story, and I thought that it really was a good anecdote, but I think that the proportions of the anecdote to the total speech were off, because it seemed to me like about 2/3 of your speech was this story about you getting another job, and then the last third was you should get up 5 minutes early a day. And I felt that that wasn't enough to make it an opportunity for people. I think if you want it to be an opportunity, you're going to have to significantly cut down on your personal story. I think perhaps you need to just say you got depressed, you're sleeping late every day, you weren't doing anything, Bob called, he said you need to be open, and you thought about what can I do to do this. And one of the things was you said this took a week when Bob told you, and then you were setting your alarm clock 5 minutes early a day, and I'm thinking, if you're only doing this for a week, why would you have to do it 5 minutes early a day? Why couldn't you do it an hour early? It's only been 5 days that you were messing up your schedule. Also, what were you doing with your extra 5 minutes besides resetting your clock? I think that you must have had to do other things to go out and get a job. And some of those other tips I think would be particularly helpful to other people. What do you do to open yourself up? How do you expose yourself to these opportunities other than getting up on time and getting out of the house? Those things I think would be helpful. Another suggestion I have for you is when you started, you have a very powerful start, but you look like you when you're being this person that's firing you. You look exactly like you, and you sound exactly like you. So it's a little confusing, and I think it would have been, in the past when I've seen you do this, so I would like to see somebody who is manifestly not you it just in that Arthur Anderson voice. Also, a couple wording suggestions. When you got into the habit of not getting up in the morning, you could just say, I no longer needed mornings. And also, I was kind of curious about when you did finally get your first job, because you said it took you 1.5 years to get your permanent job, but I think you were working as a temp, so the first sign of success would have been because you were opening yourself up, and then ultimately, because you were open to a lot of different opportunities, you got a job that you like. I would suggest other ways in which you were closed off from opportunities besides the fact that you weren't getting out of your house or getting up on time. I think that this is more universal to people if you can suggest things to them, but I don't think you show the connection between you and people who haven't lost a job. Most people, I think, would think, well, you're not going to get a job staying in bed. So I think you need to work out the relevance to the audience a little more.